This is not a chronicle. We are approaching zero.
Cut the black wire.
Hello, world. Are you receiving me? Clearly it's unsure. I'm getting through.
Hello.
This message comes straight from the heart. This turn of events was planned from the start.
Art.
This continuation now, a break from tradition. A failed state made a career.
Where?
This may be the final transmission of this premiere.
Here.
I repeat, this is not a repetition. I repeat, this is not a repetition. This is an ignition. This is a worldwide transmission, aimed for the very few.
Who?
This is directed to you. As we are not entirely sure, you did not start the next world war. It's now with the utmost care we make you aware.
Scared?
And it certainly can come as a surprise. Like each another sunrise, we are not monetized. Mobilized now, completely at rest. We feel you need to get this off your chest. As it's clear to see, you are technically blind, sided with what you see on your TV screen. Screen, we are here for you. And what is your reply? Why do we even try? Another topic doing the rounds, zero exclusive. Talk of the town. Straight to the point, in a roundabout way. Knock on the door. Running away. We're out of time due to signal detection. Just remember that north is the only direction. We'll be right back. Years ago. This is an ignition. This is an ignition.
Alright, what I'd like to talk about today is now that we know the Earth's flat, where are we going with it? The flat Earth. People say, why are we here? What's this? What's that? How did we get here? Who made this? Any being made this. We're all part of the one being. The animals, the rocks, the trees, the air, the wind, the flowers. We're all part of the one. For me, that's where it's going. I know it's going there. All these atrocities that are going on, or the controllers, or the so-called authorities, the manipulators, the money grubbers, the liars, the thieves. Your time's coming to an end. It's up to each and every individual to find that in themselves, in yourself.
Hello, folk. I'm just here to share a bit of my story, just as an ordinary guy who's come to realize the globe dissection. And, you know, this deception we're all in starts pretty early. Yes, I think it's about the years 2 or 3 that we're confronted with a bunch of different weird foreign ideas of what time is and how you're supposed to remember in this abstract form of memory. And, you know, I'm not unique. I'm one of 7 billion on this planet. And, you know, I'm no statistician, but probably about 5 billion are born in the same type of indoctrination that I was born into. And, you know, I do happen to have this memory, though, and be able to realize when these things are pressed on me as foreign forces or alien structures upon how my brain and system was working, I guess, by default or instinct, you could say. And, you know, so I remember how memory was, the way we slice it and make it abstract and almost quantify it, I don't feel like that's natural, you know, and I don't feel like this idea that you're born as something, and it's something that was created, or that you're magically blooming and blossoming it's just something like that, you know. That always freaked me out because I thought it was the same as dying, you know, being born from nothing. What was I before then? What will I be after this material and this material realm? So those ideas were just as foreign as the memory was, and they just build on one after the other until when you get to the point, maybe you're 4 and 5 and you're in school and you start seeing these pictures of outer space, and the teachers are saying this, that, and the other thing with all the galaxies and the planets spinning around. Well, you kind of just believe it, you know, because your mind's been shut down and synaptically pruned already for how many years of your life by the time you get there. So yeah, you're ripe. You're ripe for the learning. You know, and of course I, like many others, don't fit into that system, you know. And when I came to this globe deception, this globe lie, it wasn't such a shock to me. And I think that's just because I had a backlog. I had the pain and experience of every time I saw some damn picture in a book of saying, hey, is that what I see? Is that within my experience? You know? But we're rewarded for ignoring the experiences that we have and for not questioning and just repeating. And this is nothing new. You guys all know this, you know. But sometimes it is valuable to just say something and give it a light that it may not have had before. So that was that, you know. I had my tough time in the education system and sitting there in the inactivity of it all. You know, that's another error. It's not just we indoctrinate, we make ourselves lazy. We lobotomize and make us lame. You know, we got both sides of the equation working. And I feel like it's about the natural age for the scientific mind and everything to start kicking in. And the more abstract and logical sense anyway is perhaps, you know, 10, 11 or something like that. So yeah, I started running to the sciences. And in my school, they didn't have what I wanted, you know, because I realized that if I know anything, if I'm thinking about anything, if I'm visualizing anything, making graphs, pictures, representations, that I have to understand perspective and be able to, you know, draw this out and understand it, you know. So I spent a lot of time thinking about that and looking for things in vain, and I couldn't find it, you know. So that's another area where our education system is flawed. And you know, and then you get into high school and just forget about it by then. You know, what are you supposed to be doing? Watching the movies or listening to the music or drinking or learning about sex and all this other stuff. You know, that's not my story. My story was looking into physics every day, like it was some sort of I don't know, life calling or something. That's what I thought I'd be doing. And that hasn't quite panned out. You know, I'm as inquisitive and curious as ever. And this globe lie has really starting to spark that within me again. That maybe I can look at something with wonder, you know, and then maybe my life has a purpose. You know, because I tell you, I could see what I needed to grow as a person. You know, these different avenues of logic and thinking. You know, the perspective and you know, electromagnetics and things like this. Things that I was curious about. You know, but without an outlet and just realizing what was up against, you know, I would have great hopes and I'd have insights and ambitions and things, be thinking, oh, well, everything could be different. You know, we could be having a magnetic rail systems or whatever. Again, nothing new, nothing fancy, but maybe perhaps a better, logical. You know, but they're just dashed against the wall of this materialistic society, of this false education system. And, you know, I remember I'd have these insights and these grand things, you know. Perhaps I was a bit of a naive dipshit with an ego or something, I don't know. But either way, I just remember I'd be saying, you know, well, it's time to go back to sleep, to this unresting sadness, because I can't do anything right now, you know. And, you know, I think we've come to a time as a people where we have to realize that we can do something. And, you know, I don't think we're ready to go back to sleep. I don't think we're meant to go back to sleep. You know, it's in the human to grow. And these seeds that this flat earth movement is planting, you know, these seeds of critical thought and whatever, you know, the waters will come, you know, and these seeds will start to grow. And I think I'm experiencing that in myself. It may just be my age and circumstance, but I do attribute a lot of it to this work. The people have put before me, letting me see about the globe lie that I stumbled upon. And, you know, names, if people want names because people like credit, whatever, you know, Eric Dubé and Dell from Beyond Imaginary Curve, pretty much, you know, I haven't watched much else but them. And, you know, I'm not going to go fucking say things they said and everyone else has said because it's out there and these resources are good. So if you're in question about this stuff, dig into them. And look for the objective content because that's what matters, right? You know? But anyway, so I've kind of come to this point where I've kind of divorced myself from the false gods of science and mathematics that aren't grounded in reality. I spent probably from years of maybe, you know, 10, 12, something like that, up to about 21 or so, just really digging into science and reading a bunch of books and doing all this other shit. Thinking that was going to be my goal in life, was to, you know, maybe I could unite quantum mechanics and general relativity or some shit. Because that's the thing they're saying you need to be doing right now. You know? And it's just now where I'm starting to regain my sense of, well, maybe I can, just like everyone else, explore and do experiments. And, you know, when I was a kid looking at all this shit in the book, I couldn't say nothing then. I mean, I would. I'd ask the teachers and everything else, and they wouldn't know, and they wouldn't give me no answers. So I'd go and do my own shit. I'd tear things up and look around and do what any good, curious kid would do, get in a bunch of nice trouble, you know? And I always said, I can't do nothing now, but there'll be a time, you know? And I'm just starting to step into that time personally. And this whole flat earth thing is really starting to empower me. Because I'm learning through this quest, this journey I have to take, the vocabulary of logic. You know, the discernment of the mind to be able to weed through this bullshit. And yeah, that's always there in everyone, but suppressed. But, you know, there's a lot of pain, there's a lot of turmoil whenever you're fucking with somebody's brain for the whole life. Yeah, that's for sure. You know, but the other side of this is, for those who realize these things and see what's going on, those shouldn't be pressed on humans to have this type of thing to happen, you know. It can be a growing pain. And it's that seed that's popping through the shell. So, when I see this movement, I see farming. I see people planting seeds and growing, you know, for the new type of humanity that might come after this, whatever that's supposed to be, by whatever design and whatever purpose, which, as much as I wish to say I know, I don't quite know. Now there's things to be doing in the absence of sure knowing. There's things that are verifiable. Farming practices, agriculture, whatnot. These things that were within our experience. But as far as these gurus and these teachers and these scientists and these prophets, well, I can only say that their time is done.
It's a fine day, people open windows, they leave their houses just for a short while. They walk by the grass and they look at the grass, they look at the sky. It's going to be a fine night tonight, it's going to be a fine day tomorrow. Da, 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 da. Sitting in this field, I remember how we were going to sit in this field, but never quite did. Rain or appointments or something. Sitting in this field, I remember how we were going to sit in this field, but never quite did. Rain or appointments or something. Rain or appointments.
Take exit to the left or to the right, or going down the stairs. All kinds of strange things going on down now. Seems like there's bodies and shit everywhere. Yeah, I know it isn't fair. But some people, you see, some people, they just seem to deserve everything that they get.
About a third of the building has been blown away.
There's only one place that I can hide. Watch your back, it's making me zigzag.
It's a fine day, people open windows, they leave their houses just for a short while. They walk by the grass and they look at the grass, they look at the sky. It's going to be a fine night tonight.
Down, 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 dum-dee-doo-ah. Ooh, yeah, 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 yeah. Oh, 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 oh. Only the lonely, only the lonely,
Only the lonely
down, 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 dum-dee-doo-ah.
know the way I feel tonight.
Ooh, yeah, 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 yeah.
Only the lonely
Dum-dee-doo-ah.
know this feeling ain't right.
Down, down, dum-dee-doo-ah.
There goes my baby, there goes my heart, they're gone forever, so far apart. But only the lonely know I cry. Only the lonely
Down, down, dum-dee-doo-ah. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, 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 oh. Only the lonely, only the lonely,
the heartaches I've been through.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Only the lonely. No, I cry and cry for you. Maybe tomorrow a new romance. No more sorrow, but that's the chance you gonna take if you're lonely. Heartbreak, only the lonely.
The mere fact of communicating, as communication of smallpox, of a secret, of power. 2. Intercourse by words, letters, or messages. Interchange of thoughts or opinions.
In the broadest aspects of communication, much work has recently been done to clarify theories and make them workable. The era we are entering might well be characterized as an era of communication. This film will touch in the most elementary way some aspects of the subject that are of daily concern to all of us. Here is Claude Shannon's diagram by which almost any communication process can be schematically represented. The information source selects the desired message out of a set of possible messages. The transmitter changes the message into the signal, which is sent over the communications channel to the receiver, where it is decoded back into the message and delivered to the destination. Every such system contains noise. Noise is a term used in the communications field to designate any outside force which acts on the transmitted signal to vary it from the original. In this usage, noise does not necessarily mean sound. Reading is a form of communication where the word is the signal, the printed page the transmitter, light the channel, the eye the receiver. Here sound can act as noise and interfere with the message. But in some situations, like reading on a train where the sound level is normally high, it is not the sound that interferes with the communication process as much as the motion and the unpredictable quality of the light source. Quality of light and motion then becomes noise. In radio, noise could be static. In television, noise is often the distortion of the picture through transmitting or receiving. In a typewritten message, the noise source could be in the quality of the ribbon or the keys, and we are all familiar with the carbon copies that keep getting progressively worse. If anything acts on the signal so as to vary it in an unpredictable and undesirable way in the communication system, it is noise. We can consider telegraphy in terms of this same diagram. We will use a New York stockbroker's office as the information source and a Los Angeles stockbroker's office as the destination. There may exist at the information source just two possible messages, buy or sell. From these two, the message sell is selected, then coded to the telegraphic key transmitter and sent over the channel in electrical impulse signals, decoded by the receiver back into the message cell, and delivered to the destination. Noise, of course, is there, this time acting electrically. It could distort the signal in such a way as to change sell into self. But as there are only two possible messages, buy and sell, there is sufficient redundancy in the spelling of the words that even if it did read self, the information would still be clear. Naturally, this example has nothing to do with the stockbroker's office of today. Because of all organized communication, market information is perhaps the most efficiently handled. The New York information enters a signal channel in this form, and is automatically decoded in Los Angeles in this form. But even here, we find redundancy counteracting noise. The English language is about 1/2 redundant. This extra framework helps prevent distortion of the message in the written language or in the spoken language. In speech, the brain is usually the information source. From it, the message is selected. The message is a thought, not the words. The vocal mechanism codes the words into vibrations and transmits them as sound across the communications channel, which is, of course, the air. The sound of the word is a signal. The ear picks up the signal, and with the associated eighth nerve, decodes the signal and delivers the message to the destination. This time, noise could originate in the transmitter or in sound vibrations that disturb the channel. Or it could be a nervous condition on the part of the receiver, and it could change the message from I love you to I hate you. How do you combat it? One way is through redundancy. I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you. Another is increasing the power of the transmitter. This combats noise, as does the careful beaming of the signal or duplicating of the message via other signals. Now let's consider amount of information communicated. The message cell contained 1 bit or unit of information because it was a choice of 2 possible messages, buy or sell. A choice of 2 gives 1 bit of information. This is the amount of information that one on-off circuit can handle at one time. It can be on or off. 2 bits of information is the amount 2 circuits can handle. There is a choice of 4 possible conditions: on-off, off-on, on-on, or off-off. 3 circuits can handle 3 bits, or a choice of 8 possibilities. 4 circuits, 4 bits, or 16 possibilities. 5 bits, 32 possibilities. 6 bits, 64. Amount of information increases as the logarithm of the number of choices. The message I love you to communicate information must also be a choice of other messages, because if the information source were so loaded with feelings of love as to be incapable of any other thought, then surely by the time the words I love you were spoken, no information was communicated at all. No information, yet previous experiences could make those 3 words convey great meaning. Source, message, transmitter, channel, message, destination. You could imagine the message being music and the transmitted signal being tone, or it could be applied equally well to writing or to smoke signals or to hand signals. But let's take painting as another example of a signal transmitting a coded message. Information source, mind and experience of painter. Message, his concept of a particular painting. Transmitter, his talent and technique. Signal, the painting itself. Receiver, all the eyes and nervous systems and previous conditionings of those who see the painting. Destination, their minds, their emotions, their experience. Now in this case, the noise that tends to disrupt the signal can take many forms. It can be the quality of the light, or the color of the light, or the prejudices of the viewer, or the idiosyncrasies of the painter. But besides noise, there are other factors which can keep the information from reaching its destination intact. The background and conditioning of the receiving apparatus may so differ from that of the transmitter that it may be impossible for the receiver to pick up the signals without distortion. In any communication system, the receiver must be able to decode something of what the transmitter coded, or no information gets to the destination at all. If you speak Chinese to me, I must know Chinese to understand your words. But even without knowing the Chinese language, I can understand much of your feelings through other codes we have in common. There are systems of communication where there is no redundancy and no duplication of the message. Here, knowledge of the code is essential. In planning one if by land, two if by sea, the fellow on the opposite shore simply had to know the code. But there are also many examples of times when the message has been conceived and the signal sent long in advance of understanding or acceptance of the code employed. In the case of Galileo or Socrates, it did not in time matter that the receivers of their time were not tuned to receive their signal. The ultimate transmission of such a message represents communication of a very complex order. Other high-level communication occurs in very different areas. A wave breaking on a beach brings a world of information about events far out at sea. It can tell of winds and storms, the distance and the intensity. It can locate reefs and islands and many things, if you know the code.
Play the guitar. Play the guitar. Play the guitar. Dance in the bar. Play the guitar. Homesick moustache. Homesick moustache. Homesick moustache. Homesick moustache. Smelling your ass. Homesick moustache. Shaving my balls. Homesick moustache. dick in my ass doesn't make me gay. Don't select moustache doesn't make me gay. Smelling your ass doesn't make me gay. Bush bush. Play the guitar, dancing the bar, smelling your ass doesn't make me gay. Liking Josh Bush, Tom Selleck moustache, shaving my balls doesn't make me gay. Smelling your ass. Tom Selleck moustache. Tom Selleck moustache. Tom Selleck moustache doesn't make me gay. Dancing the bar, dancing the bar doesn't make me gay. Dick in my ass doesn't make me gay. Shaving my balls doesn't make me gay. Smelling your ass doesn't make me gay. Liking Josh Bush doesn't make me gay.